This video is on programming a ubiquiti antenna to be an access point. In other words, it's on the main building where the computer is, and it functions as a receiver to receive the signal from all of the remote antennas or stations that are in the field. So I've already plugged up the new antenna to the network, and now I need to program it as a receiver. So the first thing we're going to do is open up the ubiquiti discovery tool. As you can see, it comes up with an IP address of 192.168.1.20. That is the default IP address the antennas always come up as. So we're going to double click the IP address. It comes up with a second window. And we're going to click the IP address here one time, the 192.168.1.20, and then click Web UI. That will bring up an internet window that will allow us to log into the antenna. Depending on your browser, you may get this message. If you do, just click continue to this website, parentheses, not recommended, and then it gives you the login screen for the antenna. All ubiquiti antennas start out with the default username and password of ubiquiti. Then you have to click I agree to these terms at the bottom down here, or it won't let you log in. Make sure it's in English and click login. This is the main window that you're going to program for the antenna. So there's a couple tabs up here that you need to go to. The first is the wireless tab. There are two things that you need to look at in here to make it talk to the other antennas. The first is where it says station. You want to change that to access point. That's going to allow this antenna to function as an access point or a receiver for all the data being transmitted from the field. The second thing you need to do is you need to know what the channel width of the station antennas is and match that. For these purposes, I've already set a station up, and it is at 20 megahertz for the channel width. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to 20 megahertz. If you don't match these megahertz and the channel width, then it's as if you're trying to receive an AM station on an FM radio. It just won't work. Once you've changed it to access point and 20 megahertz, then go down here and click change. Now once you've clicked change, you see a blue box pop up at the top. You have to hit apply right here or it won't save the settings. So now I've saved the settings as access point and 20 megahertz. The next tab you're going to go to is the network tab. Now since we just made changes, sometimes when you click the next tab it doesn't want to dial in. If that's the case, just hit the refresh button and it should bring up the next tab that you opened. So this down here where it says management network settings and the IP settings here, these are what we're going to change in order to be able to see the station antenna. I've already programmed the station antenna to be on a 192.168.1.90. So for these purposes, I'm going to make this one 192.168.1.91. Net mask is going to be 255.255.255.0. Gateway IP is going to be 192.168.1.1. The primary DNS is going to be 192.168.1.1 as well. Now what I'm going to do is bring up the ubiquiti discovery tool, close out of this one, scan again to make sure, and now we're seeing that second antenna. So we'll go ahead and minimize this, change these settings so that it's applied, because we don't want this to be on the default IP address, because then every time an antenna gets plugged into the network there will be an IP address conflict. So you always want to change it from the default IP. So I've already clicked change, then I'm going to click apply, then I'm going to give it time to reboot itself. So we bring up the ubiquiti discovery tool and as we scan it can't see any right now, and before it only saw one initially. Then once I started changing the settings it saw two. So once this antenna is done rebooting itself, you'll see both antennas come up with the new IP address. At this point you have successfully set up a wireless bridge. So you exit out of this. It'll say, are you sure you want to exit? You hit yes. You can exit out of this. And now you can see both antennas.